Welcome to Faith and Freedom. For the next few minutes, we hope to inform, inspire, and encourage you as we discuss legal victories and challenges to your fundamental freedom and religious liberties. Faith and Freedom comes to you from Liberty Counsel, a civil liberties education and legal defense organization. Join us now as Mat Staver, founder and chairman of Liberty Counsel, explains the latest legal issues all across this country. In the courtrooms of America, Liberty Counsel is winning the battle for your constitutional freedom.
Liberty Counsel comes to the defense of the city of Deland, Florida, over a 131-year-old city seal. They were threatened by Americans United for Separation of Church and State. Hi, I'm Mat Staver, founder and chairman of Liberty Counsel. Joining me to talk about this is Matt Barber, vice president of Liberty Counsel Action. Matt, this is the typical Americans United Barry Lynn approach to literally erase any kind of heritage or religious or particularly Christian symbol from the public square. This has been there at the very founding of the city of Deland. I know this city very well. It's just north of Orlando, Florida. And it goes back to the 1800s. It's a 131-year-old city seal, and not a single person has ever complained about it.
Yeah, Americans United and other anti-Christian, anti-theist organizations like Americans United are continuing their crusade, for lack of a better word, of religious cleansing. They seek to remove any reference to not just religion, but particularly Christianity from our history. Well, they're inexorably linked. What are they going to do next? Sue to have the name Corpus Christi, Texas changed because Christ is in the name, Los Angeles, because there are angels in the name of the city. This is it's absurd. And the fact of the matter is they don't even have the law on their side or precedent.
No, they don't. Isha Khan, who's one of their attorneys, I know her. I've litigated against her for a number of years. She wrote a letter to the city of Deland threatening that they need to remove this city seal, particularly a particular section of it, which has a cross. Otherwise, it's an establishment of religion, and they will file suit. Problem is that in the letter, she does not even cite to the controlling precedent for the southeastern part of the United States, which is called the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals, the federal court that governs Florida, Georgia, and Alabama. And there's a case directly on point. She knows about this case because Americans United filed an amicus brief on behalf of the plaintiffs in that case, trying to get a Ten Commandments removed from a seal in Georgia. They were not successful. The court rejected those arguments. And so she just simply ignores the controlling case that would control the city of Deland and looks at other issues to try to obfuscate the matter. Yeah,
that's among other things, it's disingenuous. It may even be borderline unethical. Because she knows that this letter is, in fact, an intimidation tactic to try to get the city of Deland to cave without even citing the fact that they know that they're a paper tiger right now. The AU knows that they're out of step here and that the precedent isn't even on their side, yet she is misrepresenting the facts in order to intimidate. That borders on unethical.
Well, it could be a professional code of ethics violation because as an attorney, you're not supposed to intentionally ignore a controlling precedent and try to pretend that it doesn't even exist. You've got to deal with it and distinguish it. She doesn't even distinguish it. She doesn't even mention it. And she knows clearly about it. It's not like she missed it in her research. They filed an amicus brief in that very case. And what happened is the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals in this case actually upheld a seal that has the Ten Commandments, the tablets of Ten Commandments. It's from the Richmond County, Georgia Superior Court seal. It goes in all the legal documents. And she didn't even mention it. She also ignored some other city seals that were upheld by the federal courts, one in which there were two crosses, another in which there was a cross from the city of Austin in Texas. Here in this case, though, this is a 131-year-old seal. It goes back to 1882. It was adopted when the city of Deland was actually founded. And it consists of a large heart, and behind the heart is an anchor. You can't really make out what it is, but it is an anchor. It's got the top of the anchor, and then you can see the bottom hooks of the anchor. And then behind that also is a cross at a slant. Now, they say that it represents 1 Corinthians 13:13. Where it says faith, hope, and charity remain. And but the greatest of these is love. It goes into the love chapter. But faith, hope, and charity, they say that that's a Christian representation of 1 Corinthians 13:13, and therefore it's unconstitutional. But, even if it was, I don't know whether that represents the faith, hope, and charity. I had to go research that. Nobody looking at this would say, oh, that comes from 1 Corinthians 13:13. But even if it did, is faith, hope, and charity an establishment of religion? No. And especially it's been around for 131 years with no controversy? There's no way.
Yeah, I hope that Deland will not cave on this, and that we have reached out to them, Liberty Counsel. We stand ready to defend them against this paper tiger, Americans United for Separation of Church and State. And I would admonish any city, any municipality that gets a letter from Americans United, it's not worth the paper it's written on. They are trying to intimidate and bully you into caving into their secularist worldview. And that's what they're trying to do here, Matt. They're trying to remove Americans' Judeo-Christian heritage and replace it with their own secular humanist version and vision of what they think America should be, has never been, and as if we have anything to say about it, never will be.
Yeah, we sent a fairly lengthy letter just a few days ago to the city mayor. First of all, we rebutted all of the misinformation. We added cases that are directly relevant and on point that they ignored, and we offered to defend the city of Deland at no charge at all. So we hope that the city of Deland will ultimately not cave. I can't imagine that they would. This is a 131-year-old seal. This goes back to the 1880s. There's no way that the courts are going to find this as an establishment of religion. In fact, one of the cases that we cite is the city of Las Cruces. It's Weinbaum versus city of Las Cruces. Las Cruces means the cross. So the very name of the city is the cross. And in the city seal, it has a sun with the rays coming out and two crosses in the middle. Las Cruces, the crosses, and the cross. And then the other one is the city of Austin, Texas. That goes back to the 1800s as well. And right in the very middle of it, it has the Christian or Latin cross. Those were upheld in the case of Murray versus City of Austin. And this is a situation, I think it's a no-brainer. The courts are not going to strike this down.
Yeah, you have to wonder, what is their strategy here? Because if the city of, you mentioned Las Cruces with cross in the name, I mentioned Corpus Christi, Texas with Christ in the name of the city, you notice that they don't want to push it a bridge, go across a bridge too far, because if they're going to be intellectually consistent here, if they're going to go after the cross within the city seal of Deland, Florida, why aren't they suing Las Cruces to change its name? Why aren't they suing Corpus Christi, Texas to change its name? Los Angeles, California, why aren't they
San Antonio, I mean, go on and on.
On and on and on.
San Francisco.
This is the evidence that we have that shows that, San Francisco, that the Christian heritage, Christianity is interwoven throughout our history, our heritage here in the United States, but they are so hostile toward that reality and that historical fact that the Americans United for Separation of Church and State is willing to literally subject itself to potential sanctions in order to try to bully and intimidate people into seeing it their way.
Well, this group has an agenda, and that's why this was actually brought to our attention by somebody in our office, and they had seen it in a newspaper article. I was not aware of this, and when we found out, we immediately looked into the situation, got the letter, and we sent a letter to the city of Deland. So whenever you hear of something in your community, make sure that we know about it. Don't assume that we already know about it. A lot of these things that we find out about, it's because of people like you calling us or emailing us, letting us know about something. Unfortunately, if they only got one letter and it was a distorted letter and they're being threatened to have a lawsuit, they might just simply cave. Now they know they've got legal defense on the other side at no cost, and that the Americans United for Separation of Church and State letter is absolutely wrong. We actually point out another case, Matt. It's the Supreme Court 10 Commandments case, where you have a 6-foot-tall, 2-ton granite monument. It says, "I am the Lord thy God," in all capital letters. Then it goes into the 10 Commandments. The Supreme Court upheld that, saying it had been there for 40 years, no one complained, so how can that be an establishment of religion? Well, this has been there now 3 times that long.
Well, and interestingly, as we pointed out over and again, there are Judeo-Christian symbols, the 10 Commandments, Moses, and other things all over the Supreme Court building, both outside and within.
Yeah, there's over 50 displays of the 10 Commandments outside and inside the United States Supreme Court. Go to Liberty Counsel's website, and that is lc.org. Order our books and our resources, one of which I think is very important to know and have, and that is David Barton's book, Original Intent. It's a very powerful book about the history of the country. It is something that you ought to read and keep on your shelf and reference. Also, we have the Patriots Handbook series and also the New England Primer. The New England Primer is one of the books that was used in American education for nearly 200 years, up through the early 1900s. And that book taught the Ten Commandments, the Lord's Prayer, and many other things too. It'll be a surprising read to see what public schools were teaching in America. Go to Liberty Counsel's website to order these resources, lc.org.
You have been listening to Faith and Freedom with Liberty Counsel. We hope that we have motivated you to stand up for your faith, family, and freedom. We can accomplish a lot when we work together. Get informed and get involved today. Sign up for our free monthly newsletter, The Liberator. We will send it out to you free of charge. Stay informed with our Liberty Alert email updates. Just click on the website at www.lc.org or call us at 1-800-671-1776. Tune in next time to learn more about your rights right here on Faith and Freedom.